Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Eco Nostalgia here. I gotta tame down my commentary. I just reviewed my commentary. I'm like, no way, that shit's gonna fly over here. It's just not. It's gonna be taken down. It's gonna be throttled on the algo. If I speak my mind about the shit that's going on, just to give you an idea, if you just want to know who rules over you, find out who you can't criticize. Oh, and speaking of speaking my mind, follow me over on Rumble, guys, because this kind of content I can't upload over here on the regular. As a matter of fact, this video, I don't know how long I'm going to keep it up or if it'll stay up without them taking it down. It's always a risk to the channel when you tell people the truth on YouTube. So please support me over here on Rumble. I want to see more than 34 followers and these dismal views. Those of you who noticed that, I know you guys are out there. I've seen you in my comment section. You're like, why don't you just name who they are? And, well, that's been happening more and more on YouTube. I find that interesting. But it's happening more and more. There's this based pastor I've been watching who points to Israel and the fact that there's a whole lot of bullshit going on with them. Unlike a lot of these Zionist pastors who want to get on their hands and knees and kiss their fucking feet. That's slowly starting to go away. So people are slowly starting to wake up. But people like this over here who want to pat themselves on the back for how awesome the latest Call of Duty is, which is an absolute woke disaster dumpster fire pile of shit. They don't get it. They don't understand. It's funny because a lot of these liberal women, first of all, you'll notice that they're almost always white. For some reason, they're like the champions of everything communist and subversive. Look what we did, guys. Yay. Our game is out now. It's so awesome. Girl power. Gee, I wonder why we have the Adam and Eve story. I couldn't possibly figure out what that's all about. It's almost like serpents go after your women and they get you to go along. Isn't it funny how that works? Thousands of years of warning in this little book that you've been taught to ignore and told that it's nothing but fairy tales. I don't know. The more I look into that book, the more it seems like it's exactly spot on. Tell me, when did Call of Duty ever have anything to do with this kind of shit? It's like a meme at this point. Didn't they have like a Nicki Minaj DLC or some shit for that game? Maybe it was another one. I don't know. But yeah. These are useful idiots. They have no idea that they're being used to destroy Western development studios, period. They don't know that. When I used to play Call of Duty, well, when I started with it, it was Finest Hour. Great game. Excellent game. Second game was awesome. Third game was awesome. Once they got into more of the modern warfare stuff, it just wasn't really my cup of tea as much. I still enjoyed it. I think really the last time I was into Call of Duty was like World at War. So that was many years ago. So I haven't really kept up with everything, but now they're on like Black Ops 7. So I guess they just kept rolling with Black Ops. It must have been quite a success for them. But look at this. Still surreal to see it out there. So proud of everyone who made this happen. Yeah, good job, guys. Give yourselves a pat on the back for being cultural Marxist mouthpieces and subverting a culture and getting everybody pissed at each other. One of the things that's funny about liberal people is a lot of them don't like Israel by default, but yet they still don't seem to connect BlackRock and all this other shit to Israel. They just don't seem to understand how that works. They don't know that the people that are signing their paycheck that keep propping this shit up, even though people can't stand it, they have bad intentions. I've mentioned this before. You've got a lot of these Chinese developed video games that are doing really well because they don't cater to this shit and they don't hire people like her to put their girl power fucking garbage all over everything or their anti-white DEI garbage. They just don't do that. They give players what they want and they're doing really well. Isn't that strange? Maybe it's just a coincidence, guys, that the Chinese market's being propped up while the Western market's being pushed down and controlled demoed by these useful fucking idiots. I'm so tired of trying to beat around the bush about this subject. And every one of them wants to stand for like a cause. They all have a cause, right? And You know, they want to stand against bigotry, and they want to stand for the marginalized and all that, and they have absolutely no idea that they're being used and they're useful idiots. So I've talked about Weimar Republic a million times over here. Why? Because it's relevant to what's been going on in the West. That's why. So in case you didn't know, there were people who were propped up in Germany just before World War II, and they went on the radio and they were gay. And they talked about how awesome it was to be gay. And they inserted themselves into the arts. And they started making a mess out of basically everything. And did everything that they could to incite the right.
Not only was sex in the air in the Berlin of the 20s, it was also on the air, celebrated in song by Berlin's favorite performer.
Almost everybody in Berlin had a radio receiver at home. And Claire Waldorf was everywhere.
Claire Waldorf, the saucy cabaret performer who sang about sex with raucous gusto, had become the darling of Berlin.
She was short. She was very stocky. She had wiry red hair that she couldn't do anything with. She had a very rasping voice. She was something like a symbol of the city for men and women alike. They looked to her as a symbol of what the ideal Berlinerin should be.
Like seemingly all of the really creative Berliners, Claire Waldorf came from somewhere else.
She learned the Berlin dialect, which is a very broad, very particular dialect, and very humorous and very irreverent, a little bit like Cockney in London. And she was just adored by the Berliners.
Everybody in Berlin knew Claire Waldorf was the first official lesbian in Berlin, and she did not make a secret out of it. And she basically had tried to convince all women who were important in culture that to be a lesbian is quite a nice thing.
Claire Waldorf had her eye on a young chorus girl and sometime actress whose legs were already legendary among the demi-monde of Berlin. Soon her name would become equally famous. She was Marlene Dietrich.
Claire was already a star, and Marlene had no experience singing, so Claire trained her. Marlene copied a lot from Claire Waldorf, not just the style, the androgyny, the pants, the tuxedo, the cravat, the cigarettes, but even more. Many years later, Marlene admitted to director Billy Wilder in a just between us men kind of conversation that Claire introduced her to lesbian love.
When it came to sex, Marlene Dietrich could be omnivorous. As long as she found them attractive, she couldn't care less if her lover was a man or a woman.
Dietrich was an omnipotent sexual figure, was known for giving the best oral sex around the world. She was an icon for gay women around the world at a time when there was no one else.
In the 20s, it became legitimate that women have their own fantasies, have their own ideas of sexual freedom, and for a wide part of the population, it was somewhat of a revolution.
Which is what you fucking idiots are doing right now. So, yeah, it's the same exact thing, and it's leading down the same exact road. I see them calling people Nazis all the time and this and that. It's like, look, when you do finally incite the right to get to that point, you're going to find out what a fucking Nazi actually looks like. You haven't seen the right get pissed off yet, but it is going to happen eventually because people cannot get away from you fucking morons for 10 minutes when they get off of work. They just want to put their feet up and play a video game and not be lectured to about this fucking garbage that is constantly in their face. Relationships are in a horrible place right now because of feminism. And if you don't know about the history of feminism, well, maybe you should look into it and check the last names of the people who propped that shit up in this country. They're doing the same thing in Japan. Japan is having horrible birth rates. And then we get a game like Silent Hill F, where the entire fucking game is telling you how awful it is to have kids, and how terrible it is to be a wife. And you're basically just a mindless, soulless fucking zombie who has to get rid of all your friends if you get married. What a terrible thing. And it was made by, guess what? A Chinese development studio, and marketed to fucking Japanese women and women in the West. And they eat that shit up. And they call you names if you point out how it's nothing but subversive commie gobbledygook.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Because that's exactly what it is. The gloves are going to start to come off on this kind of shit, and people are going to increasingly speak their mind. Now, I am not the kind of person who advocates for violence, but I will warn people that that's exactly where it's heading. This shit is going to get violent. I've had people tell me, sir, this is a Wendy's. No, sir, this is a widespread problem that's been happening in every fucking industry in America and abroad. Take a look at what's been going on over in Europe, and how basically all these bands have been getting kicked off the bill because they say things that they don't like over there anymore. They've got like anti-free speech laws over there. People are being arrested for saying shit online over there.
Another day, another show cancellation over in Europe, a concerning trend that continues to unfold. It's hard to imagine that this is not going to have an impact on bands making decisions about where they want to play. This is a deeper subject than just playing for fans. This is also something that could affect local economies over there. These shows come into town, lots of money spent on hotels, hospitality, food, local restaurants and businesses. All of that gone in a flash. Why? Not because of low ticket sales, but because the governments are getting involved because they don't like the opinions of the artists. This is not a good sign. This type of thing has been increasing over in Europe. We've been hearing about thousands and thousands of people getting arrested over their posts on social media. Seems really dystopian and crazy, but it's something that's actually happening now.
And then take a look at the anti-Semitism laws that Trump's been trying to push. This is why I don't really identify with the right either, because Trumpers don't seem to understand that he's not on your fucking side.
With one heart, America weeps for the lives lost. With one voice, we vow to crush the monstrous evil of anti-Semitism whenever and wherever it appears, and we're working very hard on that.
Those were President Trump's remarks during a Hanukkah celebration at the White House on Wednesday, just before he signed an executive order expanding the federal definition of anti-Semitism under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. The measure, crafted by Jared Kushner, the president's senior advisor and son-in-law, says discrimination against Jews can be a violation of Title VI when based on an individual's race, color, or national origin. It also refers federal agencies to consider a definition of anti-Semitism adopted in 2016 by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, of which the US is a member. The IHRA's definition cites a number of provisions, but states criticism of Israel similar to that leveled against any other country cannot be regarded as anti-Semitic. The executive order aims to protect Jewish students and tackle what the Education Department views as anti-Semitic curricula or anti-Israel bias in higher education. And it was welcomed by Jewish groups like the Anti-Defamation League and the Republican Jewish Coalition.
Also, as you know, Ivanka and Jared have worked very, very hard in this whole endeavor and many other endeavors. I will tell you, they're doing an incredible job, and I'm very proud that the Jewish faith is a cherished part of our family. Very proud of it.
He doesn't give a shit about you. I've told people before, take a look at the Noahide laws. Take a look at that kind of shit and see where it's going. If you're upset about the fact that Islam is spreading all over in Europe and is spreading all over in America, and oh, I can't believe they just voted this mayor in New York City. Oh, but here he is. Here's this Muslim mayor in New York City, and who's he with?
We recently met and we found out that he's Jewish. His mother was Jewish and his grandmother was Jewish. So, Mr. Mayor, we might find out very soon that you're Jewish. Don't hang out with me. So, welcome to our community. And I want to tell you about Rabbi Indig. Not when your numbers were up, when Adams dropped out. First day he called me up and told me, I like this guy and I'm going to meet him no matter what the consequences are. He called me after he met you. He told me, this guy is a friend of the Jewish people. He's real, he's sincere, and I believe he's going to be the best mayor of New York City, and I'm going to go with him all the way. So this is who Rabbi Indig is, and he represents us all. So congratulations. Why do we have to waste a few weeks on becoming the mayor of New York City? We hope you come back. Absolutely. We believe you will, and you bring along. Eric is going to show you the directions how to get here. You're almost here every week. If you're not, you ask Brad, David, everybody. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Looks like people are getting played, doesn't it? See, they all think that they're so fucking smart. And they look down their nose at you and they think you're nothing but a dumb fucking Nazi and you don't know history and you don't understand. It's like, no. You got that shit backwards.
At the end of days, you're going to need the iron of Esav, which represents Edom, which is the West, Europe, and the Americas, to get intermixed with Ishmael, which is basically Arabs and Muslims. How in the world was this ever going to happen if not for this refugee crisis? At the end of days, you're going to have this intermixing between Esav, Edom, which is the West, and the East, which is the Muslims and the Arabs, making this through this influx into the world. And they're going to have children, I don't want to say by the dozens, but they're going to have a far larger birth rate than the indigenous people there, and they're going to sort of conquer by number. And there are many different sources for this. One of them in Yehezkel, chapter 14, and many other sources as far as this is concerned, where it's mentioned very, very vividly what will happen to the Jews and what will happen to Yerushalayim and what will happen to the world at that time, where there will be many, many people killed and so on and so forth. So the idea of having these refugees come into Europe, it's no longer a matter of whether it's right or wrong. It's just simply a fulfillment of what it was meant to be all along. This is the fulfillment of the Chazal and the prophecies. This has to happen, and this is just another sign that we are nearing, the completion of this tikkun of the entire world.
Le Mashiach viendra que quand Edom, l'Europe, la chrétienté sera totalement tombée. Donc je vous pose la question, c'est une bonne nouvelle que l'islam envahisse l'Europe? C'est une excellente nouvelle, ça annonce l'envie de Mashiach. Excellente nouvelle. Vous allez le payer très cher, les Européens. Mais à un point, vous n'avez même pas notion de quoi on parle. Et vous n'aurez pas au fuir. Parce que tout le mal que vous avez fait à Israël, vous le paierez au centuple. Quand l'Italie disparaîtra, quand Edom, c'est pour ça que le QG de la chrétienté qui vient de Esav se trouve là-bas, quand cet endroit-là disparaîtra, et c'est ce que veut faire l'islam, et surtout, l'islam, c'est le balai d'Israël, sachez-le.
And we are saying, yes, we will love our neighbor. Last week, Hayas organized a letter signed by over 1,200 rabbis. Can you imagine getting 1,200 rabbis to agree on one thing? But agree they did, and what they agreed was to ask our elected officials not to halt or even to limit the United States Refugee Admissions Program. And it's not just Hayek. Jewish organizations of all kinds across the spectrum of Judaism are issuing statements in support of refugees. These have included the Orthodox Union, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, and so many of the Jewish organizations that you heard are co-sponsors of this event this evening.
This garbage is propped up by people who don't give a shit about Americans. And they don't give a shit about our culture, and they want to see us continue to circle the drain. And they're going to do everything they can to fuck over our economy because they control the entire monetary system of the global economy. They own the central banks. They own Hollywood, and they have for a long time. That's why I'll go back and I'll try to watch movies from like the 80s and 90s, and I see shit that I never used to see when I was growing up.
You like my new boots?
Afternoon, ma'am. Ain't too many people who know about this place.
I'm with the guide. He went up there to take some pictures.
Well, then he just vanished. Like the old Indians that painted that there.
It's the same woke shit. This wokeness isn't new. It's just ham-fisted now. But everything from like Highlander, the television show, is going to tell you that white rednecks are just the worst people in the world, and they're just these bigots and idiots, and they're dumb, and then you got girl boss and this boss and that boss. There's so much propaganda in Hollywood because it's run by those same people who run the banks. The Rothschild dynasty spread all over the place. And they fund this kind of shit. That's where it comes from. Like I said, look into feminism, see how that went. Take a look at who owned the record industry, and probably still does, but I don't know if anybody really gives a shit about music anymore. I really don't. Anything that comes out now today, forget it. But all these bands who used to bitch about how they would get raw deals from their record companies, and they were always being screwed over, and they never made as much as they should have made because the executives and all the people were taking their money. Well, I'll give you just one guess of what kind of people were owning that industry. Take a look at their last names and see if you can connect the fucking dots here, people. It's not a big mystery. As a matter of fact, I'm going to point you to a video from Blackpilled, Devin Stack. Now, I've said before I don't agree with everything that Devin says, but he was absolutely over target when he talked about Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and the guy who owned both bands and how he did the most scummy, nasty shit.
And the whole thing was a scam. The whole thing was a scam. And so when Jews tell you, oh, you're just jealous. You're just jealous that you don't have our super big Jew brain. Our super big Jew business brain. That's why we're successful and you're not. This is what they're talking about. This is what their big Jew brain allows them to do that you're not doing. Committing fraud on an industrial scale. You know, why didn't your tiny little goy brain figure out that you should do a big insurance fraud scheme that you were only able to do, by the way, because of your goy money that every goy gets, and signing the big contract with the goy company like Jordache, so that you could then, do your insurance fraud scheme and then get your money and then lie to people about having an airline and then fraudulently create, these photos and pretend that you have some airline that you want people to invest in, and then go around lying to people to get their investment money. And then, because you're a pedophile, get a bunch of little boys, rent out a mansion so you can work them to death and molest them and pay them $35 a day while you sell out stadiums and sell tens of millions of albums so that you can pay them pennies. See, why don't you just use your goy brain to do all this? And then get blackmail material on them, make them sign non-disclosure agreements, threaten them with the possibility of murder. All the while, by the way, still ripping off investors. Create fake companies, fake talent agencies that just fleece more stupid goys. Yeah, why don't you just use your dumb goy brain to do, why can't you have a big Jew brain? Like Lou Pearlman here. It's just jealousy, huh?
Through fraud, he propped up both of those bands, used them against each other. They didn't even know they were being used against each other. He made a ton of money off of it, and guess what he did? Just guess. What was Weinstein known for? What was Epstein known for? Same shit. Take a look at, what was that asshole's name from Nickelodeon? Schneider something or other. Another fucking creepy pred, okay? Basically, the guy who propped up and started the career for Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, that was abusing them in disgusting ways. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just every single time. I'm tired of people not noticing that shit. I really am. And they come into my fucking comment section and tell me that I need to get with it and I'm a bigot and a racist and a homophobe. It's like, all right, okay, useful idiot who doesn't understand what's happening in the world, who doesn't understand that they're being propped up for this kind of shit. Anyways, this is going to continue to happen to your favorite everything, basically, because they're demoralizing you. They don't want you to get away from it. Everything. Fucking everything. From Dungeons and Dragons, Pencil and Paper RPG, to everything you watch on like Netflix, which they own, by the way, everything that you play, every video game, it's all the same shit. It's owned by the same people who basically own most of the money in the world. So, yeah, it would be great if people could smarten up. Anyways, if you guys like this video, like it, subscribe, click the notification bell if you're new here, get down in the comments section. God bless, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.
And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse, in all places whither I shall drive them.
Nostalgia. It's delicate.